I've been testing the most popular free-to-play strategies, and today I'm going to dive into the 3 best strategies, and I'm going to explain which one's best and why, so stay tuned. Okay, so the first army that we're going to be looking at is the Hydra Army. Now, Hydra, I did this a lot on my channel the other day, so if you're interested in learning that, go ahead and check that out, but I'll go ahead and recap it in this video either way. You can see I'm scrolling over the hero equipment at the bottom. We've got pretty normal stuff, pretty cheap army for the most part. You want the giant arrow with your queen, that way she can snipe either an air defense or an air sweeper. I think the air sweeper is a better target, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to put your king down on one side and start the funnel on one side of the attack, and then you're going to use the queen on the other, and you're going to try and maneuver her in a way that you're going to get the giant arrow to fly across the base and snipe something like the sweeper or the air defense. Now, with the pets and stuff, I'm running pretty normal stuff on this too. You could, if you do have access to higher stuff, you can use better equipment, like with your queen, maybe like the magic mirror with the giant arrow or something else, right, if you wanted to. Or you could do the earthquake boots and the spiky ball. Now, I actually deploy my queen over here to snipe the air defense, and then I'm going to recall her, actually. I recall her, and I put her down here at the bottom so that she can create a better funnel for the dragons and get that air defense out of the way. So that's kind of a cool trick that you can do with the recall spell, and that's one reason I take it. And then you're basically going to spam all your dragons, all your Hydra stuff, and your blimp, and then when you get the blimp close to the town hall, you're going to lay your clone spells down in a line, and you're going to hope that these balloons spread throughout the base like a giant explosion, right? You can kind of see here, and they're going to take out a lot of the stuff so that the Hydra doesn't have to worry about it later on, and it honestly makes this path for my queen a little bit easier as well, because now she doesn't have to worry about those ground expos anymore, or any of the stuff in the inside of the base, because she's going to walk around the outside. I actually used my Royal Champion here to help save her from the ricochet cannon, so that's why I did that. With this army, though, basically you need to set a funnel on one side with your king, one side with your queen, and just spam everything through the middle, and it is a pretty easy attack. And you're going to kind of see here as we get through this, I think I end up with like 5 or 6 dragons at the end of it. Like, this base was honestly just crushed. I mean, this army is still so good, and I'm going to show you guys an attack that I did in Legends League yesterday with this army, where I even brought like the wrong equipment, totally screwed it up, and still tripled because the army's just so good. This was actually from yesterday, but I wanted to show it off because I forgot that I didn't even have my giant arrow on my queen, and this attack kind of went weird because of that, because I used the ability right at the start, and so I don't trigger any of the invis areas. And I'm going to times 4 this until this starts. Okay, so I used a dragon over here to help funnel some of those buildings. That way they go a little bit faster, and then I know my king will go into that eagle compartment. That was kind of why I put one dragon there. And then you'll see here in a second, I just put my queen down and just used the ability, expected the giant arrow to fly right through the middle of the base and get both of the invis sections, and I totally, as soon as I used it, I was like, oh, that's not good. So that'll happen here any second. And I used the poison down there. Wait, do I? I don't even have a poison. I should have a poison with this army, but I don't for some reason. Yeah, this attack was all weird. Everything was all weird. And then I freeze the sweeper, obviously. My blimp is going to get the town hall. Now, I knew my blimp was going to die before it got to the town hall, so I actually, like, traced my balloons to the town hall with the clone, if that makes sense, like that. And I do get the town hall. Obviously, they all get freaking wrecked right here. Even though I didn't have the right queen equipment, didn't have a poison for the CC, and all of my balloons really didn't get that much value. You're just going to see how strong this attack is. And I'll actually do something freaking 200 IQ here. I know that the invis tower at the top is going to reset again, so I actually recall my Royal Champion as soon as this section's dead with a couple of dragons, and I put them up here so that they can deal with this section before the invis tower triggers again, because my queen died when I wasn't looking. So everything went wrong on this attack. I wanted to show this attack off specifically to show you don't have to be a pro to use this army, and it's still really good. You can really screw things up and still triple with it. But yeah, you're going to see my Royal Champion kind of deal with this whole compartment almost by herself because the sweeper just keeps pushing the dragons away. Yeah, this army's so good. The healers honestly clustered up for the Royal Champion too. Now, obviously, this raid was pretty close, but had I done anything the right way, this would have been absolutely crushed, right? I will say, though, I think the recall saved this raid 100%. I think if I had not used the recall to get my Royal Champion up there, I don't think this would have tripled. Anyway, I will times through it through the rest of this. You guys will kind of see we clutched it up. It was close in terms of amount of troops and stuff I had left, but I had actually plenty of time. I think I still had like 45 seconds left. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the Super Hog army. Now, on the Super Hog attack, basically what you're going to do, you want to take... You're going to use the flame or the log launcher. I'll switch to that here in a second. I'm going to take the log launcher and I'm going to use my heroes and the log launcher and a few funneling troops to get my heroes ideally to the town hall. Now you can see I use pretty regular stuff on the king, the rage and the giant gauntlet. You can use other stuff if you want. I've got the healer puppet in the invisibility vial. You can use the magic mirror or something else if you have that. This is just kind of the free to play version, right? On the Warden, I'm actually running the Life Gem. I've been testing this out. This is actually from Aki on his channel. He's the one who suggested this army, and this is what he suggests, so I'm just doing that. On the Hog and Haste on the Royal Champion, obviously, since we're doing Hogs. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Yetis and Wizards, maybe some other things, to set a funnel in order for my heroes to kind of dive into the town hall compartment and deal with the town hall. And then basically after that, we're hoping that that will get enough value and create a U shape on the base, if that makes sense, so that our hogs kind of stick together and path through the rest of the base, and then we crush it. So at the start of this base, you're going to see me, I put a Yeti and a Wizard down on the left side just to help deal with some of those things there. And then I'm going to put my king down, and then I'm going to put my queen and the log launcher and everything else, and I want that all to get the town hall. The goal of this is to get the town hall and to draw the CC and hopefully deal with that as well. And I have an earthquake spell. I actually use it kind of late on this attack, but I have an earthquake spell just to put on the walls there to help clean those up and get them down a little bit faster. And had I done that a little bit sooner, probably would have went even a little bit better, maybe, to be honest. But I do end up getting my queen here into the town hall area, and I'm going to rage when this gets down so that the Yetis do a little bit more damage. And you can see my queen will go into the town hall area and get the town hall, and then she'll deal with the CC after that. And then after you get your Sui over with, that's when you're going to focus on like the hog portion of this attack. So I put them all down. I put all my hogs. You can save 1 or 2 hogs and 1 or 2 super hogs if you want for cleanup, but you can see I've got them all down there at the bottom now. They're coming in. Make sure you get your headhunters and the warden ability too. I really like to warden ability early on this attack, and I'm going to explain that in my Legends League hit too, and I'll kind of show you why I think that. But we've got a lot of stuff here. You're basically, at this point, you're going to focus on putting your healing spells down and raging through things and freezing up defenses. And then as soon as you don't have to multitask as much, or you can kind of separate your attention a little bit, put some cleanup troops down to the side so that you don't have to worry about a time fell just in case. You can see I've still got quite a bit of stuff left over. This one actually ends up being kind of close, but you'll see in my Legends League kit, I absolutely crushed the base. This one was just to kind of show you guys an example of the army. But I do get the invis down on my Royal Champion here to save her from the Ricochet Cannon, and then she gets that, and then we end up cleaning up the rest of the space. This one was kind of close in terms of army and stuff, but we crushed it in terms of time. There's still like 45 seconds left in this raid. So let's go ahead and get into the Legends League hit. All right, so right here we're going to take a look at my Legends hit. Now, actually, this is the live footage, but this is me kind of recording over that, if that makes sense, because that's just how I'm doing it. So on this one, you're going to use your Yetis, right? I'm taking out a couple of the buildings on the side. I'm going to put my king down, my queen down, the log launcher, the ice golem, the E-Titan, everything else to kind of smash through that middle part of the base. You obviously want to use your earthquake on all of the high health buildings and the walls there. This is going to help open those walls so that your heroes go into the town hall compartment, as well as weaken those buildings so that they die easier to the heroes, right? So you kind of a win-win there. Now, with the rage and everything else, you've got a couple of spells that you can help out with your heroes and stuff, like the skeleton spell or invis or freezes or rages and things like that. I'm going to rage and get the Yetis raged up so they do more damage, but I didn't feel like I needed the skeleton. I didn't think it would do very much, or the invis or anything else. So I kind of left them there. I wait till my queen I know is going to target the town hall, and then I use that, and then as soon as the town hall goes down is when I'm going to start focusing on my hogs, right? So I'm going to put my hogs all down here at the bottom left with my warden and the royal champion, and I am going to kind of smash through the base. Now, the reason I like to use the warden ability before I use the heals is because it's going to keep the initial hogs alive and healthy for the first, 10 seconds or whatever it is through the base, and then I'll use the heals when the ability is about to wear out. I feel like if I use it the other way around, there might be some really high-powered defenses that kill off 2 or 3 of the super hogs, or 5 or 6 or something, and then when I use the ward ability, I have like 5 less hogs that get in that, right? So I feel like I get a lot more value if I use the warden ability first and the healing spell second. Now, obviously, at this point, we're basically just putting down spells to try and 3-star the base and focusing on cleanup around the base and things like that. But as long as you can get that nice U-shape with the base and kind of keep everything somewhat together, I mean, you're really going to crush bases with this, because you can get so much value from the healing spells, so much value from the warden ability and the rages and everything else. And you can see this base is crushed. There's still a ton of time left. I've got plenty of cleanup. There is still a ton of troops left over. Honestly, this attack is definitely one of the easier ones, or one of the stronger ones if you're pretty good at getting a lot of value with your Sui. But this one is pretty dependent on getting a lot of value with the Sui, so if you are good and you practice Suis a lot, you're going to be able to take advantage of this army quite a bit. Obviously with this, I don't really have anything super fancy on my Royal Champion or my King or anything. You could use the Earthquake Boots and the Spiky Ball with this if you wanted to, and you're going to open up a lot more stuff in the middle of the base, but I'm trying to make this as free to play as possible, and I don't think a lot of people have the Spiky Ball that raged up, so anyway, there's the Legends League hit. Alright, so the next strategy that we're going to take a look at is the Zap Super Witch Army. Now, you're going to treat this almost exactly like you would the Fireball Super Witch Army. You're going to just zap an area where you would normally Fireball. You're going to use your Warden to kind of start the funnel on the other side, let him walk for just a little bit, and then you're going to use the Super Witches to pull him in the direction you want to go. Typically, you want to go Eagle side first and kind of end on the Town Hall is typically how this army works. And then you're going to use your Siege Barracks and the Queen on the other side to make sure you get a bunch of these buildings and force the Super Witch Army into the middle of the base. Now, I don't take a jump spell with this army because I do have the Earthquake Boots on the King. Now, I still consider this army free to play because you don't need the Spiky Ball or the Earthquake Boots to be a high level in order to make them useful in this army, right? Unlike the Fireball, where you almost have to have it maxed in order for it really to be very good, or close to maxed anyway, the Spiky Ball and the Earthquake Boots, you can kind of have them at whatever level you want, and they're still going to get good value. The Spiky Ball is just, I think, the best thing to pair with the Earthquake Boots right now. And you're going to see I use my Warden ability here to keep everything alive because I want to keep my King alive as long as possible so that he can use the Earthquake Boots as deep into the base as possible, if that makes sense, and open up as many walls as possible. So I use the Warden ability a little bit maybe earlier than you normally would, and right here I think is where I pop it. You can see it's going to open up basically access to every part of the base, right? It actually triggers the invis a little bit early too, which is, it honestly worked out really nicely. The Spiky Ball did, that is. And then I basically, my Queen is at the top. I've got the Healer Puppet and the Invis Vial on her. Got the Healing Tome, or the Eternal Tome and the Rage Gem on the Warden. You're definitely going to want the Rage Gem because the Druids benefit so much from the Rage Gem. And then on the Warden, just everything's, or the Royal Champion, everything is just normal. Really, this army is pretty easy to learn, and it is still very powerful. It really, honestly, is probably almost as good as the Fireball Super Witch attack strategy. The only thing that you really... The funnel's not as good at the start. That's why you need to let your Warden walk for a little bit. But you can see this base is crushed, right? I still have a... It looks like a Druid in there. A couple Super Witches still healthy. My Queen's full health. My Warden's full health. My Royal Champion's full health. Everything's still healthy. I had plenty of time left on this raid, too. So this army, honestly, is very good. So I'm going to go ahead and use this in Legends League a little bit to show this off as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at my hit in Legends League with the Super Witch Army. And I'm going to kind of break it down and let you know why I chose to do what. Obviously, the Zap Quake value in this compartment up here is nuts, right? You get literally every defense in that compartment. So that's obviously where I went to go and target for that. I set my Siege Barracks on this bottom side. I'm going to ×2 it while we're doing that. Come on, replay, go. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you can see I get every defense. I set my Warden up there to get a few of those buildings. That way my Witches can't go to the left because I want them to go to the right and to the middle. I treat this attack literally just like I would the Fireball Super Witch attack. And I put my Siege Barracks and my Queen on this side to help funnel everything, get rid of that compartment. And then I put my King and my Super Witches and everything down everywhere in the middle. This base is obviously very odd. And so it actually did kind of screw my funnel up a little bit. I'll ×2 it here. But basically, you're going to put 1 or 2 Druids at a time every 15 to 20 seconds, depending on if they're frozen up under ranged defenses or not, or whatever, right? Sometimes you might need less, sometimes you might need more, so it's just kind of up to you and your discretion and when you're attacking or whatever. And I decided not to use my Warden ability or my King ability here. I've got the Earthquake Boots with him, obviously, but I probably should have, because then he starts walking around the whole entire base. And you'll see, the pathing was honestly kind of weird for all of this, but I end up tripling, and honestly, I had a ton of stuff left over at the end, too. So the Super Witch Army, honestly, this free-to-play version is not as good as the Fireball version, obviously, or if you had the Rocket Spear or something else, but it is still very good, and it's still pretty easy to learn. There's a few little tricks and things. It's not like you can copy and paste this attack for every single base, but it is very easy to learn, very easy to get the hang of, and definitely one of the more powerful free-to-play armies. So I would definitely give this a try if you like the Super Witches, but you don't have the Fireball. This one is still pretty good, and you're going to be able to have 320 days with this. I have had a 320 day with this army before. Yeah, so this one's really good too. Okay, so now to answer the questions that you guys probably all have, which army do I think is the best? I think in terms of raw power and the best attack strategy, and really probably the combination of everything, probably Hydra. I think Hydra's probably the best. It's very easy to learn. It is still, it might be the strongest. It might be tied with the Super Witch one for the strongest attack. But it's also like the cheapest too, right? It's still like you don't really need any epic equipment. You could run something else on your king even if you wanted to. The Hydra is just so good. The clone bomb, if you can get a good clone bomb, you're going to triple it basically no matter what. The Super Witch attack, I think it's maybe tied with Hydra for like the strongest attack, but obviously it's a little bit more expensive and can benefit from the expensive equipment more than the Hydra attack can. So it tends to be a little bit more expensive that way. And you definitely want the Earthquake boots, I think, right now. I think that's probably just the best case scenario with running that army. But it is still, I mean, it's still pretty cheap if you use it the way that I did. And I would say it's definitely harder to learn than Hydra, which is why I put it just a notch lower on this list. But it's still not very difficult, right? You just kind of have to learn how to put your druids down, your timing, if you don't have any experience with that army. So timing with the druids is one thing you're going to have to work on. Getting your funnel and putting everything down. Zap quaking, you're going to have to learn that just a tiny bit, but it is a very strong attack. And then for the last attack, we've got the Super Hog attack. I think it's probably the most difficult of the three to learn. It's not overly difficult by any means, but it is definitely probably the most difficult of the three to learn. It's got a lot of potential though. It's almost an army where like the higher skill you are, the more potential the army has than like maybe the other two. But as far as like free to play and friendly for like beginner type players, I still think that it goes Hydra, then Super Witches, then the Super Hog attack. But that's not saying the Super Hog attack is bad by any means. I still think these are the top three of all of them. It's just not as good as the other two. And it definitely, learning how to funnel your Sui into the town hall or wherever you need to go with that Hog attack can be kind of difficult. But definitely practice that one if you're interested in that. But anyway, I hope you guys liked the video. If you do, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all those things, and I will see you guys tomorrow.